What's crappening, everybody? We made it to another episode of Kicking It with Kpop. What's up, dudes? Hi. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having
Hello.
us. I'm so hyped.
Uh, welcome. Listen, it's been a long time coming. I know we were talking about this backstage, but yeah, I was hanging into all of your guys' streams and chilling and stuff. But yeah, I know it's exciting, very exciting. Uh, yeah, we're gonna get to some chat people in a second. We're gonna get to know you guys. So we're gonna do our favorite thing here. We're gonna make it weird. That's what we do. Bam, there's me. You guys already know who I am. So I'm about to grab one of you guys out of random, bloopity bloop bloop bloop, and boom, there you go. Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
hello.
Hi. Gonna be
Okay.
the hardest question you'll ever have to answer. Who are you?
Let's.
What do you do? Why are you here?
Perfect. Yeah, that's that can be a tough one.
It
Hey
can
everybody.
be.
My name is Jade Lowder. I'm a comic book artist and educator from Bozeman, Montana. And so I'm here today along with my buddy Brandon Bloxdorf as we are the creators of Panels, the Comic Creators Guidebook. Along with Dan Hills, who's kind of writing the book and putting it together over at Comics Wellspring, and I'm doing all the art for it and whatnot, which it's been a hell of a lot of fun, and it's cool because it's a book, it's a resource guide to help first time creators or even creators who've been doing comic books for a while kind of hone their skills and whatnot. And as an educator, it's a lot of fun to be able to bounce ideas off of Dan and off of Brandon and build a resource that's going to be really helpful to a lot of folks in the comics community. So that's the long and short of it. I love making comics, and I've loved the comics community, and it's been a blast to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. I think it's something too that a lot of people could probably have used a long time ago, especially nowadays because there's so many people now that are creating their own books or like are wanting to, but don't even know like the first steps of like how to even go about that thing, especially with like printers and shipping, like all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a lot to learn. But I mean, I've been doing this for so long now that I've kind of picked up all this like little bits here and there. But it's fun to talk about all this, and I love seeing that. And
Sure.
let's see. Before I get to Brandon, here is a link right here. I have this pinned to the top of the chat. I also pasted it into the other channels that we're streaming to. So yeah, go ahead and click on that if you guys want to, and hopefully you do, and share it. And we got GT Comics in the chat. What's up, GT? We're going around here. Oh, we got BBB. What's up, Triple B? How you guys doing? Oh, we got Louis in the house, and he says, "Love that hat."
Yeah. Got to rep the White Sox, and I mean, hell, the new Pope is a White Sox fan, so God is on our side, and shit is going to turn around.
It's amazing. Yes, and Nam is one of those people that is been working on trying to get comic or something happening too. So listen, you've come to the right stream for this today. Perfect.
That's
And
awesome.
we're gonna get up to Brandon. Boom. Same question. Hi.
Hello. Thanks. I'm so hyped to talk to you and to be here. And thanks for tuning in to all of our streams.
Yes.
It's really been it's so cool. Like especially in this atmosphere of creators and networking and social media, where like
Yeah.
you know somebody for so long, and then you finally get to talk to them like a year into knowing them, and then it's like another 2 years before you get to meet them in person, and that's a big event as
Oh,
well. Like I've known
yeah.
Jade for like almost
That's
three
been.
years before
Mhm.
we met for the first
Oh
time, and that
wow.
was yeah.
Nice.
And we've just been spitting out projects like crazy. But I guess to answer the question, hi, I'm Brandon Bloxdorf. I work for this amazing company, Comics Wellspring, and I basically handle a lot of their community stuff. I help creators kind of navigate through the systems of like finding the best discounts and like understanding
Mhm.
how to order comics and like operate and like kind of have some success on like Kickstarters and
Yeah.
crowdfundings and things like that. And so, in that process of being with the company, Dan had been pitching this really cool book to kind of instruct people how to make comics. And he brought people like Jade and I onto the team because I run a company called Apollo City Comics. And we've been pumping out comics like insanely for the past year and a half. Some of them have been with Jade too. We did an anthology together and teamed up on a couple things. So we knew we had chemistry. But Apollo's kind of been like we put out like almost 20 books in less than 2 years, and that's kind of like
Wow.
insane. We just got hey,
Mm.
thank you. And so it's kind of like crazy. And so like during that time, we've learned a lot about making comics. And just the process of it. So Dan had this great outline, and he sent it to Jade and I. So I've been editing through it, giving some tips and things to think about, things to edit and change, and what to consider as like a creator. And Jade is doing the same thing on the art side. And what's so cool about this book is that there's so many how to make comics. There's the Scott McCloud stuff, there's the Dave Gibbons book, there's the how to draw the Marvel way, all sorts of stuff that tell you
Yeah.
how to panel and do things. But what's cool about panels that's totally different is that all those books tell you kind of how to make comics, kind of the same way that how to draw comics the Marvel way teaches you how to draw.
Yeah.
From like, here's a cylinder, you throw in a few lines, and then you add a little bit of definition, and then Daredevil. And I was always like, I missed something, like it's missing here. That doesn't click. So panels is
Yeah.
literally a step-by-step guide, and it takes you through the process of making comics and like paneling. And even as a writer, as an artist, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to benefit from this. And although it's aimed at a younger generation, because that's who we're always trying to influence, is the next
Yeah.
breed of creators, just like what comics are for, to attach like younger kids. That's why DC and Marvel kind of go those routes, and you want to get younger readers into doing it. We want to get younger creators, but you still benefit from practicing this as a seasoned creator, to think about things
Mhm.
you haven't thought about it before, and to kind of try doing layouts and paneling, and to take that in consideration. Editing comics with Apollo City, I've noticed so much with creators that they just kind of miss the mark sometimes on their scripts. So like writers just being able to get those habits of understanding how many panels go on a page and what can fit on a page, that's going to benefit them. Artists just getting some extra angles and strength and understanding the writing process. So it's cool, it's insane, it's kind of like a big project, and we're doing great right now. We need like $700 left. And oh, thank you. Hey. And it's one of those things where what's going on right now with the packages, once we hit funding goal, we're going to be announcing like extra stuff that all the tiers get,
Ooh.
because you're backing the book now, and there's going to be so many little tidbits that we're going to give away to you down the line for being our first backers in general. So we haven't like formally announced that, but it's something we're going to surprise everybody with, because we feel like we're going to hit funding by this week. We're
Yeah.
only entering week 2 right now, we're almost there. So all of the support helps and matters at that point. And I'm going to stop because I could ramble for a while. So
No, you can go ahead and do that, because I think what's really fascinating to me too is there's so many people that I've known a long time that are just now getting into like doing their own IPs and comics and trying to figure out that process. Which Nam, I have adored Nam. I've known him for a long time. He's also an artist, and to see his just progress of how much he's just been trying much to get better at doing art is just so inspiring. I love seeing that. But I also love that Comics Wellspring does a lot of like events for like children, like how to make
yeah.
comics, how to do panels and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's really cool that you're trying to get younger kids in working on comics at a younger age. Like I see kids like 4, 5, 6 going to some of those events that you guys are doing, and I think that's just absolutely fabulous.
And what's cool is that those kids are walking away with like a finished project. And that's
Yeah.
what this book does. Like, it's the only book out there that it's a how-to book, and you walk away with something that you completed. It has an 8-page workbook. And once you work through those pages, you're going to have like you could do it on 11 by 17. You could do it by the pages we provide,
Mhm.
but like you'll have a completed comic by the time you do this exercise. So especially for artists too, they really learn like the aspects of sequential storytelling within it, and how to like
Mhm.
unveil stuff and think like a writer does when they're trying to unveil a story.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of great artists, but they've sometimes needed some work with their just structure of their paneling and what's happening
Mhm.
scene to scene. And so this is like even better exercise for them too. So no matter what angle you go at it, panels is kind of, we try to make it an ultimate how-to book, and be the
Yeah.
kind of like why we make indie comics. Like, you want to make the comic that you wish was on the shelf. We're making the how-to book we wish was on the
Mhm.
shelf.
Yeah.
We're going the same indie mindset and route behind it all, because it's really technically a bunch of indie creators to making it and providing the feedback on it too, which is rad.
Yeah. So I think that's something too, like as an artist, like I started doing just portrait artwork, then I go into more stuff doing backgrounds and some other stuff. But I think that's such an important thing for somebody that's really good at doing like like a pinup style thing, but they don't know how to make something into a panel or make it work for flowing throughout the whole page. So I think that's something that there's a lot of people out there that could really use this kind of information, because they just need something to like click in their brain that like gets it to what needs to be put on the page. And I think that's kind of essential to like storytelling as well, because not only do you need to, as an artist and a writer, you need to kind of let, first of all, the writer know when to step back and let the art shine. But you kind of need to learn how to like merge that all together. And that's something that I think is really going to be beneficial, especially for this book that you guys are putting out. So yeah, that's
And I
fascinating.
totally feel you on that too, because
Yeah.
like I know how to write comics. Like I went to school
Yeah.
for writing. I have a BFA. Like I went to school specifically
Yeah.
for creative writing, and I was looking, to write, either film stuff or comics. And so I know I could write, because then I have these really cool books coming out with creators, and I'm so hyped about them. But now that I'm learning how to draw, and we started the show Spilled Ink, which we do live
Yes.
every Thursday night, and Kpop's always hopping in the chat and hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And we started that because I really don't know how to draw. And I figured if I'm going to learn how to draw, I'm going to have a live show and do it live every week with a bunch of talented creators, so that my crappy artwork can people can now, look at that and be like, but look at all this cool art too. And I learned from them. And so when I realized like, oh, I want to like make comics for myself, and I want to learn how to like draw my own comics, I hit a wall. I know I could write comics, but when I think
Yeah.
about writing a comic that I can draw, it just seems like impossible. It just seems like there's no way I could do the same thing that I would give like China Rosemaria or Evan McGuire or Jeremy John Hansen, any of my artists, Christian Vinuela. And I was just like, that's impossible. So I had to like restructure and rethink. And so I'm going through the workbook and like looking at some of the questions and like some of the prompts. And now we switched the whole show format for our Spilled Ink. We're making comics. So even right here, I was actually working on a page while just hanging out. Like I'm trying to figure out how to make comics in a way that like I can draw them. And that's even harder. Like that's really making me think
Yeah.
back to basics and utilize this book to like, I guess, relearn and reprogram my brain to make comics a certain way so I can understand it in a deeper way. I'm like
Yeah.
looking into myself a lot right now, I guess. It's real spiritual, like
That's awesome. I like what Cran's saying. Yeah, there needs to be a better writing talent art. Yeah, that's what my favorite thing is. I love seeing people's progress. I like it's really fun in the indie scene too. Like when you see somebody start with like issue 1 and they get all the way to like issue 5. How well not just their writing but also like their art has evolved since then. And I think that is so fun to see that, because you could tell they're putting in the time. You could tell they're putting in effort. They want to continue growing as an artist. And that's something as like any art, like music, drawing, writing, anything. You're going to keep continuing to progress. Not only that, when you hang around other people that are artists, you're going to get inspired. You might find a medium and art style that you never would have thought in a million years to do. And it might inspire you to do something completely different. And that to me is what is absolutely fascinating and amazing about art, is anyone can do it. Just pick up something and start doing it. Like you have no idea. Like people always go, "Oh, you're not going to be able to do so." No, just freaking draw it. You know how long it took me that I've been in art. Listen, I'm 44. It took me like 35 years of doing art. This is my main motto in art now. You fuck it up the first time, it's not going to be so fucked up the next time. It took me like 30 some years to realize that.
No, 100%. That's what I'm realizing too. Like I did
Yeah.
my first page, and I actually, this is the second comic page I did. I did this one last week. It was my first one, and like I like
Yeah.
immediately hated it. Like I finished it and I was like, I hate this. Like, and I was excited to go to my second page to be like, I want to do something better. And so like I'm
Yeah.
wrapping up this one, and like today I was just like, I fucking hate this. Like I hate it so much. Like I can't wait. And like I did thumbnails for like the third page I'm gonna try doing, and I'm
Yeah.
so hyped to jump to that one because I just want to
Right.
finish up this one because I just hate it. And but that's what you got to do. I forgot who I was talking to. I think it might have been Jade or somebody. And I was like, it's so crazy, like where we're going with like the show and like where my art's going, and I'm making comics. It turns out you just got to do it. Like that's the whole thing. That's it. That's the secret. Like there's no other. Just do it
I mean,
all the time.
it's funny. Like whenever I'm teaching, just specifically drawing. So I mentioned I'm an educator, but I'm a college professor. Is my day job, and so whenever I'm teaching drawing specifically, I like day one, I tell the students, I'm like, all right, there's one secret to drawing, and I'm going to give it to you all right now. And it's you just have to do it, and you got to do a fuck ton of it. It's not just like you can do it in class or, every once in a while. You want to get specifically better at drawing on any piece of it, whether that's anatomy or perspective or just like basic cartooning. You just have to do a ton of it. And it's like your first is going to suck. And then the next one is probably going to also suck. And eventually it'll start like to get less and less layers of suck until it's just something that you want. The other part of like drawing and all that kind of stuff is, like there's this thing in drawing, it's called the memory gap. And so your brain and your hands are connected, but they're not great at always talking to each other and being able to, reflect exactly what you want on the page. If you want it to draw it in a certain style or whatever, sometimes your hand is maybe just not going to be able to do that. So the trick is, and this is a super trick, to start to love what you're doing. You have to love the fuck ups. You have to love when it messes up, and you have to love that, like, your hand did that, and you did this, and no one else did that, and that's where the creativity comes in, and those fuck ups become so much more interesting and whatnot. So if you're always trying to be perfect, you're going in with a wrong mentality, and that process is going to be flawed, and you're never going to get there. But if you go in it with already being in love with what you're doing, your love is going to grow deeper and deeper and deeper for this craft, for this thing that you're working on. So, but that is a really hard thing. A lot of people are super self-critical, and something else that I often preach is that, like, I can't tell you how to love what you're doing. You have to find how to do that. And that's a tricky part. That's a really tricky part for a lot of artists.
It's such a tricky part, because I think as we're looking at our own art, we are way more critical of our own art piece than most people, because we're seeing it. It's part of us. We're doing it. But to accept those flaws that you're kind of like doing on the paper is kind of more freeing too. Like you can just accept it and roll with it, and then make it part of the artwork. Because a lot of times when you do that kind of stuff, it just kind of enhances the artwork. Like portraits, I spent years trying to do, hyper realism, and I realized that wasn't even fun for me anymore. Like I want to do more stylized stuff. I want to get out there, do other kinds of things, because I like those little flaws. I like exaggerating different features of the face, like all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, you guys got to go out there and just keep doing it, which is amazing. Oh, let's see. We got some stuff happening in the chat. We got Pops in here saying, "I need a beer hug." You are not wrong, Pops. Thanks for the super chat.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, Pops is super Chicago. He is super Cubs and Bears fan.
That's amazing.
What's up, John? How are you doing? What's up, guys? And Figure Dog is like, Jade, you teach art?
I do. Yep, I teach. So my official title is the Foundations Coordinator for Montana State University School of Art.
Fancy.
So that means I oversee the first year program. So all incoming students to the School of Art at Montana State, they go through my curriculum and whatnot. So I train others how to teach. I teach myself, new things every year, and students teach me. It's a lot. But yeah, I've been doing it. This will be my 10th year of teaching.
Wow! Congrats on that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
amazing. I love that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to going over this too. And figure drawing. One more question. Jade, can you touch upon natural channel, which is hard work? Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah. Because there's a debate. So like. I think that okay. Here's what I will say. In art and most things, I think that what some people refer to as talent is that they were initially encouraged at the right time. And that's it. All humans have the ability to be creative, have the ability to master artistry. They all have the ability to do this. It's the only difference is that some people at the right time in their lives were given that encouragement that and they built that enthusiasm around it. And yeah, like, you know, there's also inherent just like biases of just like, oh, I like this pleases a part of my brain. And I totally get that. And I think that like a lot of artists feel that way as well. But I mean, it's the same thing as like, you know, if someone was, you know, exceptional at sports, they at a right age, someone told them, oh man, you kick that football like nobody's business or whatever, right? And they're like, oh, this is good. This is a positive reinforcement. And they kept doing it. It's just like, why do most people stop drawing? Because at some point in their life, someone, whether it's a friend, a parent, whoever, said, what the fuck am I looking at? And they stopped drawing, and that's that's it. And it's exactly just like, you know, and that's what happens. They latch onto that. They're like, oh, I can't make something look like something else, as if that it means anything. Like that doesn't mean, that means absolutely fuck all in terms of art, right? Like it doesn't matter. It just matters about like you expressing yourself. That's long and short of it. And so I think that some people just stop earlier than others, and some like are like, oh, this, you know, this is something that is I'm getting the positive reinforcement that I need and the encouragement, the tutelage, whatever, to kind of keep pursuing this. And then also like they have that interest, like, oh yeah, no, I enjoy this as well, not just a positive reinforcement, but I like making something out of nothing. I like making things up. I like making my own worlds, you know. I did it because I love telling stories. And in my friend group, when I was in elementary school and stuff like that, like I started drawing and just kind of kept drawing. I was the middle child, so it's just like I had to find my own unique way of getting attention with my family, and you know, like everybody vying for different spots in the household. And so I was just like, I'm going to draw and I'm going to visually represent how I'm feeling. And with my friend group and stuff, you know, everybody was so imaginative. It came up with stories, and I was like, well, I will journal this, and I will like draw all this stuff down. And we made up whole worlds and adventures and stuff like that. And I was just like the almost like the scribe, but like just like laying the art down and whatnot. And then I started making up my own characters and all that. And it just kind of kept going and going and going. But at the right age, I hit that positive reinforcement of just like, this is good. There's something here. Keep going. And so, yeah, I mean, I think if it like talent, whatever you want to call it, it's or hard work. I think that if you have the, you know, the interest, and you have the dedication, or, you know, the grit, whatever you want to call it, you can make it happen. Like you can become, you know, the artist that you want to become. It is hard. It is not for everybody. You know, when I was in high school, I had this theater teacher who was talking about the arts with me, and you know, he gave this very frank conversation as everybody was graduating. He said, if you know you're going to the arts, hey, that's great. If you can see yourself doing anything else, go do that other thing, because it is so hard. And if you are not absolutely in love with it, obsessed with it, it's going to crush you. And it's just like, it's pretty true. I've really found that to be the case. It's like, yeah, I've held other jobs and shit like that over the years, but like I've never stopped just avidly making things and making art. And and so you can't stop. You can never stop. And that's talent. It's just not stopping.
No, that's the one thing I regret the most in life is I had a couple periods where I would go in and out of art, and I stopped art for like 6 years. I had like a bad experience after I finished a portrait, and this person refused to accept it. They were like, what did you do to my children kind of situation. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? It's a spot on image of the photo that I had. But it made me just hate art for like a hot minute, and then I came back to it. But that kind of stuff will happen to you. Like you'll get crushed, you'll do anything. But what I do suggest too is if you're having a tough time on like an art piece or something, try a different medium. It's amazing how you get a different perspective on something if you just change it up. Paints, pencils, inks, something or other. It's interesting to me like how that happens. Like my brain clicked, and I don't know, and I still can't figure out why I didn't try charcoal earlier. I don't understand like how that didn't work, but yeah, it's amazing like how that happens. But I think it's really cool. Like right now, like especially in comics, which is interesting, is you see a lot of like teenage to 20-year-olds coming in and doing their own work. And then you also see this like resurgence of like 40 to 60-year-olds that are like really into art before they're now coming back trying to like do like a passion that they've had forever. And I think that's really cool to see. And I love this. And I love what figure drawing is saying in here. It says, interesting. I 1,000,000% disagree, but he loves the positive outlook. But then down here, he says, I do agree about making it happen no matter what. Yeah, you kind of need to hustle. Like the same thing with comics. You put your campaign on there. You need to hustle that thing like nobody's business to the time that ends, and you're still gonna hustle it afterwards. But yeah, it's a nonstop thing. Okay, we got Eddie in the house. What's up, Eddie? Figure it out. One more question for you. So you never had a student with no art background simply knock out of the park with ease? Interesting.
I've had students with no art background knock it out of the park. But not with no ease like that. Like, no. They knocked it out of the park because they worked their ass off. Like, I've had students come into like non-majors, like non-art majors, take classes. Like, I've had like a mechanical engineering student before I've who did a really great job, and as well as like a nursing major come in, but they like threw themselves into it and they found that like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that I liked this so much. And yeah, they knocked it out of the park. They like did like a crazy good job, but they worked their asses off. They started off doing something and they were just like, maybe it wasn't for them. And then by the end of the semester, I was like, holy shit, you guys really, I can really see how much time you put in. And it's like, yeah, I would say that some people just have the proclivity to do it. Like that, like it just like, again, something with their brains, their motor skills, something like that. It clicks. I don't know. I still wouldn't use the term talent. I would just use that they had that innate interest, and through hard work, it unlocked it. And that's how I would describe that.
Yeah.
Which is probably like still probably going to be disagreeing on that. But like that, I don't know. That's what I've noticed.
Very nice.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, no matter what I've done in life, like even with my writing or with, being a musician and all that, like all of it came, like I was a pretty awesome bassist before I stopped kind of playing music, and I got like that discouragement period that, that fried me out before I started trying to like heal that side of me though. But like that all came with like hours, because of just work, that I would go to school from whatever 9 a.m. to 12, work from 12:30 to 9:30, and then play bass from 10 to 2 a.m. And just do that and just live off of coffee. And it seemed like it was a breeze, but no, man, like that was torturous. And even with like writing, I also like, you're probably people like that, like they're always studying. It doesn't matter if you're applying it directly, you're probably always studying. You're absorbing it in some way that keeps you doing things. And like I became like a good bassist and able to comprehend music, because even when I was walking around, I was figuring out bass lines in my head and like listening to rhythms and practicing that over and over. So by the time I got to my bass, I had this down because I'd been thinking about it all day and figuring it out in my head. And that's kind of the way even art works and storytelling. Like I don't write a lot of drafts when I write scripts, but I've written the script in my head, and if I put it on paper and then to my computer, I'm pretty much done. Like that's the most I go with writing scripts. If I do some edits during lettering, or maybe something comes up during the art paneling or something, but I do a draft for every comic script I do. And that's not talent. That's just I've been thinking about it for 6 months in my head and played the movie over and over and over until I could understand it enough to put it onto paper, in a sense.
Yeah. And this is also true too, Figure. I know a lot of people that have a really good that can draw, or they have some kind of musical talent or some kind of sports talent, and they just don't want to even pursue it because they have other interests, and that's just a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool when people unlock that kind of something inside of you, which is fun. But yeah, I just love. I think it's fascinating too. Like when you get like a group of people and you just go, hey, let's just draw today. And then like you do like kind of like you pick your theme and like you're doing your thing, and like just to see like where their brain takes the art piece. And I love seeing people just get, even if it's like, people say like, oh, I can only draw. Listen, stick figures are fine too. it's art. You're creating something. Go for it. You don't never know where that stick figure is going to take you. What's up, Cav? How you guys doing? Yes. Keep on working. Yes, that's right. Listen, I was hanging in your art stream earlier. You and Katie were popping out some duels. You guys were doing some fun stuff. I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, yeah. But
And it's
no, I
like
think that's
learning to break through
amazing.
those walls too. Like Jade hears me bitch about it all the time, where I just get like scared stuck, and I never do that with writing. Don't do that with music, but with drawing, and like I'll just be at the artboard and be like, man, I'm trying to start this. I just don't want to mess it up, and like that's where like I'll freeze for a while, and before I could even move forward, and that's like the
Yeah,
hardest thing to move through. And if you could just get through that with ease, and like what Jade is saying is like just like don't care, just like work at it, like. And
Mhm.
it's crazy because I could give people advice on that all day long, but like when it comes to
yeah,
me, like I'm just like, dude, I
Right.
can't do
Yeah.
it. Like,
It's yeah, do as I say, not as I do.
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
Kind of
yeah.
thing. No, for sure. And I
Mhm.
mean, to kind of go like back, but in the same vein
Uh-huh.
of things, it's like, if we're comparing two different kind of like attitudes and whatnot in that I've noticed about people pursuing art, like you might have that student who had that like or artist or whatever who had that initial, just like, if we want to call it talent, if we want to call it whatever, just that initial interest, and they're coming in with like a skill of like that I would refer to as artistry. They're coming in with a skill of artistry, and it's at a high level, but they have zero work ethic. And then you have a student who has like maybe not great artistry, but they have a crazy work ethic. The work
Right.
ethic student will always out the other one. The student with just like potentially innate ability, right? The work ethic will always win,
Mhm.
because they're gonna put in that time, and that time is the tortoise and the hare, right? Like the tortoise is gonna win, and I've seen it over and over again. It's like you have these students that have that innate ability or a skill set that they're coming into college with, or whatever, coming into the thing with, and they don't put in the hours that another student might do, and they'll fall behind, and they won't develop. Whereas the other students who like just give a shit, like will, and those are always the better students, not just like box checking the degree stuff, but actually like caring about their education, what they're doing, and their pursuit of their craft. And as like an artist or as a teacher, that's the exciting stuff, is even when you're not maybe like the most skilled, if you give a shit, man, that's so much more engaging and exciting. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather
Once
just
you
have,
turn off that
yeah,
student mindset, you're just kind of just canceling out any
yeah,
progress at that point,
Yeah.
like you always
you're
got to be
always,
curious.
everybody should always be learning. Like even if you're a quote unquote master, which I I would argue the term. I have a fucking
Yeah.
master's degree, and I would argue that like I am not a master by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. We're all learning. We're all students forever.
Yeah. Which I think is amazing because you see it to this day. Like Finch will do art streams. Richard Friend will do art streams, and they're learning and trying to figure out how somebody else did art because they're fascinated by
Yeah.
a technique and they're trying to figure out how that person did it. Like there's a billion different mediums and methods out there that you could guys use for traditional, digital, whatever, and it's always evolving. You're never gonna just
Mm-hmm.
stop learning. You gotta constantly keep at it. And Hal, dude, I've been watching you since your first art piece that you created, and it's been so fascinating just seeing like how you also process how to draw, but like also recreate somebody else's piece because that's how I started. First thing
Same.
I ever drew in
Yeah.
my life was a rat, cat, and a bird, and then I moved on to like
I
portraits
mean, there's
and then
a reason
full
that
on comic art. Yeah.
the classics, like you started
Hmm.
with master copies, and that's where
Yeah.
everybody starts, is you start by
Yeah.
copying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. That's
yeah.
where you learn from. This is true too. There's got to be some passion behind it. Otherwise, you're just gonna be miserable in whatever it is that
Oh
you
yeah.
do. You need to have some kind of passion for what you're doing. Yeah, that's for sure. Uh, Yes. Yeah, exactly. Always creating, always doing stuff. But yeah, no, we got like 50 people watching us right now, which is amazing. So
Oh,
we're
sick.
gonna go to your campaign page here. Let me go like that for a second, and then go to your page. Where is this?
Yeah. And that's
Buttons.
the cool thing, like especially, being a musician, it's something I realized and I learned was that they're always saying, go back to your scales. You got to go back to your scales. Got to go back to your scales. And as a musician, you're just like, all right, metronome scales, metronome scales. And that's what kind of panels is doing for writers and artists and comic book creators, is that we're giving you something that's applicable to anyone and everyone. So you could go back to your roots, go back to your scales, go re-review your paneling, go re-review what you think about, you know character creation, structure, like pacing, making your short 8-page comic so that you know how to tell a short, tight story versus, a 24-page comic that's, going on and on, or elongated series. Like, you kind of have to go back to that and reflect, because there's always something to tighten up, to chisel at, to kind of refine, and you won't really realize that until go those early lessons, and it's kind of
Mhm.
refreshing every time. Any artist I know, any writer, anybody that does any sort of creative pursuit, once they go back to basics and in the woodshed for a couple months, they come back with new things and better things, or a new way to do it and process whatever craft they do. And
Yeah.
it's something to do like once a year and kind of cleanse your brain and reattack. You're just, if not, you're kind of halting growth. And although you're growing by always taking on new things and new techniques and harder aspects, you just got to make sure your basics and how you start is sharp and chiseled.
Yeah.
There's a show, You Are a Storyteller, and Brian McDonald, he runs it, and he has a book called Invisible Ink. And I read that book before I start every story every time, because it's something to kind of remind me and reinforce myself before I dive in, so that I'm hitting all the right things. I may know it very internally, but going back and just looking back at the basic structure of it all, of what works, and then you could go and mess with it and play with it all you want. But you have to really understand the rules no matter what, with any sort of craft.
Yeah, I love that. And first of all, I love too that you also have a Projects We Love from Kickstarter. So
Yeah.
congrats on that.
Look,
Wah, wah, wah,
thank you.
wah.
Thank you.
Yes. Let's see. You're almost at your goal here. What is this? About $700
getting
away from
close.
hitting your goal. Yeah. You're at 36 backers. I want to see that I hit way more backers than that. I'm going to be sharing this all over the place, because I think it's really vital to people, especially if you really want to start a comic and you don't really know where to go. And it's great because what is this, like you said about 12 plus age wise, but I think it's really, anybody can really be looking at this and drawing along to it, because it's really good information. So yeah, if you guys want to back, you have to do it by Saturday, May 31st at 10 a.m. probably Eastern time. Yes, Eastern time.
Yes.
And let's go. Let's get into this. This is quite fascinating. I love this.
And it's shipping like in November, early December as well.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's like a perfect holiday gift if you want to just knock that out at this point too. Like, we're gonna have that kind of plan to make sure that everyone's getting it just in time if they want to do that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
even for
Yeah.
if you're thinking about like a younger family member or friend or something like that you have in your life that is into comics, but but maybe they don't have the resources, or I'm up here in Montana, like we're a pretty rural state, and there are not like as much as Comics Wellspring is doing for workshops and stuff. There are places in this country where like kids and adults can't get to do these workshops, and so this is like a workshop that you get to take home and do. And so this would be a perfect thing for that kid, or young adult, or adult in your life who's into comics and just doesn't know where to start. This is that starting point.
Oh, for sure. And you have a lot of really good tiers too, because not only do you do the books, you have somewhere you can provide people with paper, supplies, which are fascinating. And
they
I
get
love
all of
seeing
it
that.
just to be able to start right off the bat.
Yeah, that's my Oh, go for it. Go ahead, Brandon.
My favorite thing is like you can get the blue line paper, so like you could
Wait.
use the work.
Make you big for a second.
Oh, nice. So we use like the Comics Wellspring blue line paper whenever we do spilled ink.
Yeah.
And so this is like comic book making paper. So if you do the workbook just as practice and like just to try it out, then you can just turn around and go back through the steps again and literally have all the supplies to like literally make your 11 by 17 comic and move forward from there. There's a cool tier for $100. You get a full pack of blue line paper, which is like 24 sheets. You get pens, you get an eraser, you get colored pencils, you get everything you need so that you can literally just go and make your comic. And we have like all sorts of tutorials and videos online that you could kind of fill in the gaps for anything else. And we'll also be releasing more of those things with the additional workbooks and like free downloads. So we're going to be giving backers soon too. So there's gonna be a lot of updates with this where you kind of get little additional things just by backing this first initial Kickstarter.
That's awesome. Like you're really getting everything. And like I was about to say a second ago, is my favorite thing every year for Christmas. My mom always got me coloring books and crayons and art supplies. I was literally from the time I was young till to now. She still buys me fresh crayons, so that's what we love to do.
Oh, I love that. Oh
Yeah.
man, I want
Yeah.
fresh crayons for
Right?
for the
Right.
holidays.
There's nothing better than a box of fresh crayons.
That's a great
I
feeling.
love that.
Yeah,
It was
I
just
remember
yeah.
many holidays of just like where family members like, oh man, I don't know what to get you, because I was like into comics, but like they're like, you don't want to go into the minefield of buying a comic collector a book that you
Yeah.
don't know what they have or don't have. It's just like, no,
Mhm.
give me art supplies, get me stuff to make my own
Yeah.
stuff. That's the thing, you know. Young creators, that was the most beneficial thing to me, is get me the stuff to help me make my art.
Yes.
This is my
This
favorite
is
little thing ever. This is so
I
cute.
love this
Like,
little cat. It's adorable
yes.
on here. Just
Thank
chilling.
you.
I like it. Yeah. That's so
Very
cute.
very
Oh, he's got the sunglasses.
Yeah.
loosely based on my cat.
Does that say
It's
the
so,
annoying guy and cat? What does that say?
I don't remember what it says. I think it says like amazing guy and cat or something. But
Amazing
it
guy
could
and
be, it
cat.
could say annoying. I don't know.
yeah, that does work as well, honestly. Like,
I was really tired when I drew that, so I don't know.
I love it. I love that you're giving kind of like a guided lesson. I love that too. That it's just for pretty much for everybody, really. Like young kids, if they just are into art or whatever, they want to figure out how to make a comic book. This is fantastic. I love this. Let's see, you're doing story structure as well. Nice. You're going to do like a
Mhm.
hero's theme, the hero's journey type thing. Nice.
Yep.
That's good.
Mhm.
Very cool. Let's see. You do get the guidebook is 100 pages. Nice. Full color, 12 pages. Example comic. You get speech bubble and sound effect. Oh, cheat sheets. Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
And then
Oh,
it
it's
comes with that workbook.
you got a workbook and the guidebook.
Yep.
hmm
Yeah, the guidebook will
Oh,
have
okay.
like longer explanations of certain things and
Oh, okay.
tutorials and stuff like that. Whereas the workbook is going to be a thing that you literally, it's kind of, it'll encourage you to like sketch out your story. So it'll ask you the
Ooh,
questions
okay.
kind of presented in the guidebook in kind of more fully fleshed out terms. And the workbook is like for you to sit and draw through.
Very nice.
And work through all the lessons that are kind of given in the work in the guidebook.
Very cool. These are some sample pages here, what you're going to
Yeah,
see in here.
yeah, that's part of the guidebook. Yeah,
Oh,
Well,
very
yeah, and
nice.
then all this is we've been updating it too, so it's kind of funny looking at this version that
yeah,
we've
this is like the old
actually
version.
yeah, yeah, which is like this like 2 drafts ago actually. Yeah, and that's what's so cool about it, is that we just want to give you a taste of what it's gonna look like side by side. Um, and Jade is actually working through the workbooks. So you have him as an art teacher ensuring
Mm,
that like
cool.
I'm hitting the marks editing, and Dan is doing his proper things when he's creating it. And as an artist and as a creator, it's digestible. So we're having different indie creators test out these questions, and we're kind of going through each one of them on Spilled Ink every week too, to like kind of
Yeah.
get feedback from the community, but give everyone a taste to show like this is what you're seeing and getting, and it works. And it's cool
Mhm.
getting the feedback from like really talented creators like Max Flowers and Jade and
Mhm.
Tanner Ogle. And so this beta testing and our community, we rely on them so much for this, because it's kind of like one of those things where I don't think there's ever been a how-to book where the community actually got to be involved and talk about it and test it out. And we'll do updated volumes, I'm sure, down the line in a few years. But this is like the one time where indie creators have a voice in teaching a way to make comics too.
Yes. And Kyle coming in here. If you guys don't know Kyle, Kyle also just started doing interviews, but he's one of the best promoters I know for indie comics on Twitter as well. So shout out to Kyle. And he's saying it's a resource for a young creator, well, perhaps all inspiring creators who have the indie comic book. Yes,
Yes,
for any,
totally,
yeah, very much so.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes,
aimed at
I for
younger,
sure.
but it's really meant for anyone. If you want to just sharpen your skills and get better and just have a new outlook and a new way to practice that's never been out there before, like this is
Mhm.
it. This is so much deeper than making comics and Scott McCloud, and how to make comics with Dave Gibbons and stuff like that. Like this is the only book you're gonna have a finished product in front of you by the time you go through it all.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's the thing that separates it, is like, a lot of the different textbooks, and I think that they all serve their purpose and their place and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And I think that what panels does that's different, that's like a next step, is that it's practical application of just like
Yeah.
read the book. By the end of like working through the workbook, you will have your characters, you'll have your story, you'll have it all fleshed out that you can then turn it to something longer. But you understand story structure, you understand how to put the things into comic format, how to take an idea, make it a comic, and then make it real. And I think that like that's the thing that sets panels aside, different from everything else.
I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. And I'm gonna get more into the Kickstarter moment. We have a cool question here from Figure Drawing. Name one old school and one newer comic artist that you like. Ooh.
Brandon, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Ooh, old school. Who have I been into lately? I've been saying Kpop and Jade. I'm like fried out because I'm like post like concert
Yeah.
old man like neck hurting vibes. But I guess I don't know what defines old school. Is old school like is Todd McFarlane like technically old school now?
Oh,
Like is
So,
that a
man,
thing?
that's
You know
an
what I mean?
interesting
That's,
question.
you know?
Because he's
I
You know what I
technically
mean? Like,
vintage.
Like
you
his
know?
heyday
Technically
was
vintage, 30 years.
was
Yeah.
30. Yeah,
Yeah.
his heyday was 30
Yeah.
years ago.
Isn't that's mind blowing as well? Like what? Because that was our new artist when we were
To
growing
like,
up.
to the definition of what is like a classic car, right? A classic car is 20 years old,
Yeah.
and it's just like
Yeah.
that would be more than
Yeah.
classic, I think, at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
90s, definitely old school. Yeah, that's so crazy to me that I'm like, we're thinking 90s, and I'm like, yeah, that was 10 years ago. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'll go a little older. Here, I'm gonna grab this
Ooh,
poster
yes.
that's in my office. Hang on one second.
Oh, please. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Show and tell. Let's go. I love it.
Like even
Yeah.
man, yeah, like
That's a hard one. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me make you. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me make you
Eisner,
big for
yeah.
this. Let me make you big for this. Yes, the spirit. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
lovely.
So Will Eisner, always hanging out in my studio with me. Anytime I'm lost about something, I just look at, I peek over and I'm like, oh man, how would Will Eisner approach this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Figure Drawing got a nice and a hell yeah from that. Definitely feeling old. Yeah, that's so funny. So 70s, is that dead school now? Because it's not really old school.
Dude, yeah.
It might.
Isn't that
Like
crazy? That's so crazy.
I was just watching a really cool Franzetta documentary, and like Frank Franzetta is
Aw,
like one of my tops
yes.
forever.
Oh,
But
dude.
then,
Yeah.
like Darwin Cook, I would imagine just like, like, oh, he's more modern, but Darwin's gone, and it's just like, no, I
Yeah.
guess it's not.
This is
Um,
my Bible.
Oh, right.
oh, there you go. Yeah, dude, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's got the other version has the Death Dealer on it. I can't even put that book back now.
Amazing.
But Frazetta is so good. Clyde Caldwell was another one that I really loved the painting. Oh man, I do could paint.
Oof.
He usually did mostly sci-fi and like the sci-fi book covers. Oh, so good. But yeah, good time.
I guess for
The other book
modern.
that's always sitting on my drawing table or like next to me because I'm always looking
Yep.
at it.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just Hellboy. I mean, this is
Mhm.
one of the more recent Hellboys, but it does
Yeah.
have a bit from like the OG stuff, and it's got the artboards
Ooh,
in it, which
I
are
love that.
Yes.
super, super helpful. Really, really helpful.
love
When in
all that
doubt,
stuff.
just steal from Mignola.
Yes, Frazetta. Yeah, so good. I'd say they're some of my favorite classics. But when I got into high school, I was so huge into like Michael Turner, Silvestri, David
Oh
Mack,
yeah.
Billy
Yeah.
Tucci.
Michael
I got really
Turner.
big into that. That's some of my all-time favorite artwork that I love. And it's really cool to see that. But yeah,
I guess
so
Nick
Michael
Darrington,
Turner.
I'll go with modern, like newer. I know Nick is
Yeah.
pretty recent out of all of them I could think of. Um, yeah, I'll go with that. I don't even know what I'm reading right now to even reference or
Mm.
refer to. Yeah. Okay.
I'd probably go Daniel Warren Johnson.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. He's so big right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. This is a really good question from Jeffrey, and I love seeing this. I will forever love traditional, and I will forever love holding a physical thing in my hand. As I'm getting
Yeah.
older, however, I have no space in my house. I also can't really see things. So the fact that there's a digital option for something, I will kind of opt for that sometimes until I can figure out. Because I'm more into right now. I like hardcovers and omnis of things, so I can just put them on my shelf because I'm just running out of space right now. But I forever into this. But it's interesting too because I tried doing some. I can make. Listen, I used to do really bull crap MS Paint pinups way back in the day. And I still to this day love doing cheesy doodles in Paint. To me, that will forever be my medium of digital choice. But it's really cool to see people of how like you take somebody that was like a traditional artist for years and then try to go into the digital, like how it affects their art. But also when you take a digital artist and then make them do traditional for the first time, it's interesting to see like how their styles change because they're not used to doing either one. And I think that is fascinating.
Yeah, we this past semester we just wrapped up, which I just hit my summer. So like summer starts tomorrow, which is great.
Yeah.
But the final project for my class I taught this last semester was I taught comics and at my university, and the final project was that the students could essentially just do whatever they wanted, take the lessons of comics and make comics their way. And I had a lot who did digital comics, some who like went the webtoons route and like started their own webtoons account and created their own kind of like long scroll, thing. Or I even had students who made their own Instagram accounts to then put the comics there. And it was like, that was a cool way of reading stories. And and then I had students who made zines and actually printed books and stuff like that. And when I was reading all of these, I was just like, man, I don't know that it's one or the other. And yeah, I think it's all of it. Like whatever your flavor is, that's great. I think that we all have preferences. I love the physical books, but like at the same time, seeing the students and what they were doing with digital stuff and how they were able to integrate that like so fast and whatnot, I was like, oh man, there's something to be said for the storytelling capabilities of like scrolling through something versus turning a page. It's just like a different way of looking at it. And I think that my teacher answer, I guess, would be whatever the intent is, like whatever you like, want readers to get out of it. That should be the medium that you print it in or make it in. But you can do so much cool stuff with both that I'm like, I don't know, man. I think the future is just going to be a combination of everything. I'd like to think that print will stick around because I think that people are still into it.
I think so. I think print will be here for a long time. I know there's like stuff happening with Diamond, but there's a lot of things happening right now, which people are doing. They're printing themselves. They're going to smaller printers, or I love seeing that. So I think that I think printing will always be there. I think that's always going to be a thing. But I love seeing that. But I also love the different formats that are coming out because technology evolves, but also we're also evolving the way that we're doing reading things. And as long as you're continuing to consume the media, just keep putting it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly. I mean, it's one of those things too. It's just like, when you think of a regular, novel, like you have digital or print or Audible, it's one of those things. What's your intake? What's your preferred way or a best ability to intake stuff? Like now I listen to a lot of Audibles because like I don't have time to always sit down with the book or like the focus. But I could at least crunch through a book while I'm doing things and like working on stuff or driving. But with comics, it's like I'm not always in a spot where I could be in a well-lit area to like enjoy a big book or like, taking it out the floppies and stuff like that, where it's just like I have, thousands of books on my iPad. I mean, I got to crunch through those at some point too, so like if I'm binging, it's like streaming, I guess, for me. Like I feel like when I'm reading something in print, it's like I'm going to the movies and I'm like appreciating it, but if I'm just gonna like binge Netflix, I'm just gonna get my iPad and I'm just gonna like binge an entire series like on my iPad, like I guess it's what's your mood at that point, and I think it's applicable either way.
It's interesting too to see the way that like digital comics have evolved, because a lot of things like it was meant to be read on your phone. So the way that they did their comic, that's why you see the long format comic of like webtoons and stuff. It's just scroll through your phone kind of situation. So I really think depending too, like where you're at, like too, I also love it too, because as I get older, I love that I can zoom in and really appreciate the artwork that's on stuff. You can't really do that on a physical thing, because sometimes you're just looking at it, you're like, I just cannot read what's happening here. But I love that you can zoom in on that kind of format. But it's also interesting too, like, because we don't know which would actually be really cool too, because I see some really cool, interesting hologram figure things happening. if they have a hologram comic book coming out way in the future,
Whoa.
you know how dope that would be? Like,
That'd be
let's
insane.
That
go.
would be
Come
pretty
on.
cool.
Let's get
I
that
mean,
happening. That would be amazing.
you know, with print as well, I think that zines are going to continue to be increasingly popular.
Yep.
And I think that
Yeah.
it, you know, like when we see in, you know, especially with the price of paper going up and like you were talking about like distribution and stuff like that, I think that you know, things are going to go back to this kind of like underground kind of methodology of getting books out, and zines are a huge part of that, you know. And I think that zines are also a really great way of like marginalized communities to communicate to each other, to get messaging out and stuff like that. And it, you know, it's not censored in the same way that like shit online is. And so I think that zines are going to be this really cool, and I mean, we're already seeing a resurgence with zines. Like, count how many zine fests there are. It's incredible. It's awesome. And I think that we're going to see so many of those. And so I'm like, you know, where's print going? Maybe back to zines, back to like DIY kind of stuff. And I think that's pretty damn exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, even me, like, I work for Comics Wellspring, a printing company, but like this Star Wars like little, you know, thing I've been drawing the last couple of weeks, like I'm gonna turn this into a zine and print it on my printer at home. You know, like this is something that I just want to put out that's going to be small. And, you know, you gotta experiment, especially when you're thinking about tabling. And if you do events, like you need a variety, and you also need a variety of price points, because that's going to help you make sales and whatnot. So just dish out stuff.
Motor City's coming up next week, and I guarantee you I'll be running into this creator there. Shout out to Juicy Juice, one of my favorites people that I've run into. Underground, he prints his own stuff on printer paper at home. They're $1 each. One of his little pamphlets that he does. He keeps it in the underground zine style. I will forever ever buy stuff from this dude every time I go there. I love seeing it. Because right now too, I have this weird thing where I'm not really buying anything from like monthly comics. I'm buying stuff indies. I'm buying stuff Kickstarters, campaigns, or whatever. I'm buying that because I find there's way more categories of books on there that are in my wheelhouse of things that I want to read. Weird horror stuff, serial killer stuff, weird sci-fi stuff, just random things in there that are the things that I read all the time. But I'm also having this weird thing where I'm going and doing back issue hunting. 60s, 70s DC, weird underground stuff. Totally. And that's like kind of where I'm at all over the place when I'm buying comics right now. So yeah, it's all
fun. That's very similar to my kind of buying habits too. And I think that a lot of it is just like the stuff I'm into, like as I keep growing in comics or getting older and stuff like that. My niche keeps like getting smaller or narrower, but that is just not mainstream comics, you know. It's like alternative things. That's not to be said that like you know, go to a comic shop and I can't find certain things that I like that I'm into, like for sure. Like even new books, you know, there are companies out there that are putting out cool stuff that I'm like, oh man, all right, this is pretty rad. But then, you know, like, I mean, I'm fine to dunk on the big two because whatever, but like I mean, most of the time I look at, you know, the 10 15 Batman titles and I'm just like, okay, I don't think I need a single one of these. Like none of them are gonna like really spark anything in me that is
it gets
exciting.
Confusing. Like when you go to like, let's say the Marvel aisle, how many titles that you have for X-Men, how many titles you have for Spider-Man, it gets really confusing. And that's one of the things too, like also why manga kind of picked up too, is because you have so many volumes, issues 1 through whatever. You know how hard it is when you just want to go back and read the issue 1 from whatever? You can't really do that. You kind of have to jump all over the place because unless you're buying, like, what is it, like 150 for each Omni volume, which is like insane. Like, just go back issue hunting, go find some stuff in there and go figure out what you want to read. But
and you know, I think that like Marvel and DC are kind of like catching on to that because they've been doing a bunch of these like reprints lately where it's like the collected thing, and it's just like Dadoy, like why did you scatter this shit in the first place? You know, and I think they're like starting to figure that out, but like it's, you know, but this audience has already like pivoted in a way, and it's just like, so they're starting to be like, oh, maybe we need to go back, and it's just like I maybe that'll help you. I honestly don't know at this point.
Well, it was also interesting too because what was it like last year? DC started printing in manga style format a couple of their titles, and then you see a lot of like the trades or like the foil, all the reprint editions, which I love picking up too because I would rather just buy the reprint edition of something than having to go back and buy the OG one, because some of that stuff is so old you can't even get picked it up now unless you're dishing out
find it
hundreds
or-
or thousands of
yeah.
dollars. You can't find it. So I love that kind of stuff. But one of the favorite issues that I've seen them reprint recently was the Tech 27. Have you guys seen that? It's
don't
the
think so.
original OG of Batman, and it is done in Golden Age format, Golden Age binding, and is done on newsprint.
wow.
Oh,
It is one of
really?
the
wow.
coolest
That's
reprints
cool.
you'll ever see.
That's
If
wild.
you find that in
I
the
do
store,
like-
go pick it up. It's really
I do
neat.
like when, reprints are a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
Because I think that like there was a period of time
Yeah.
where like Marvel and DC were like reprinting stuff and they were recoloring it because the colors for
Yes.
the original
Yeah.
separations that they were doing for
Mhm.
newsprint
Yeah.
for the offset, they couldn't use when they were doing the
Yeah.
perfect bound stuff, and so they had to recolor them. And whoever they got to recolor them was like going way too overboard.
Oh,
And I was like,
Yeah.
Oh,
this
yeah.
doesn't even look like the original.
altered
like,
the
at
art.
all.
Yeah. It was
And
Dude,
it
so
was-
hard to
Swamp
see
Thing I
that.
have,
Yeah.
Swamp Thing and Miracle Man, I think, are two of the worst reprint recolors because like
Oh,
the Swamp Thing
yeah.
one just doesn't
yeah.
even.
No, it's
It's
terrible.
not scary. Like it's not that great. Like
Yeah.
It's
a
so
lot of
flat.
it takes. Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Very
Yep.
flat,
Takes a
very
lot of the flavor out of it.
oversaturated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that grittiness to it, which I didn't. That's why I hated buying them back in the day. What they have those milestones, and they had a couple other
They
things
did.
back
Oh,
in the
yeah.
day.
They had the
Mhm.
But
milestones.
the ones that are coming out now are way better quality. So I've been picking those up. So I've actually
need
be able
to-
to read it. So
I
yeah.
need to look because that does sound
Yeah.
like a fuck ton better.
Yeah.
Oh, they've been improved on a lot. I know, yeah, because that's like kind of like when you read an old book, like say Golden Age, Silver Age, that
Yeah.
weird like offsetting, like that made the
want
book.
that.
It was like
Yeah.
cheesy. It was amazing.
If
I
you
loved
if
it.
you don't have that, it's almost just like, what the hell am I reading this for?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
That was totally part of
completely
it. It's
makes
part of
that
the
art style. Yeah.
It does.
Uh,
It totally does.
This is also interesting too because of all the tariffs and all the weird stuff and all the printing stuff that's been happening. I know there's a couple of people trying to buy their own printers and print for themselves. And then Pete launched this the other day where he's buying like to do like newsprint, like specifically just newsprint for smaller scale runs. He's actually crowdfunding this right now. If you guys don't know Pete from
cool.
Alterna Comics. It's really interesting to see too because there's a couple other companies that just want to get back to like ash cans, like the 90s ash cans, like
Mhm.
that paper on there. Like
Yeah.
you can't really find that stuff anywhere. And I think that is really interesting to see like more people coming out with different versions of like paper or printing, which is just fascinating to me. I think that's really cool. Like that just is going to open up, I think too, especially if you're doing a small scale, like 1 to the 200 range. That's interesting. I think that's quite fascinating. I think a lot of people should be thinking outside the box like that. It's really cool. What are you saying here? You had a chat with a comic store owner over the weekend. He told you that print numbers were very, very low worldwide if you mix it with something. Well,
I mean,
the problem,
that's a different.
yeah, go for it. Go for it.
That's the whole thing too. Like when you look
Yeah.
at, I don't. That goes with the conversation of like comics are dying and type of stuff that's been going on since like comics started. But
Yeah.
like especially now,
Mhm.
like it's exactly what you were saying, Kpop. Like a
Yeah.
lot of us just invest in indie books or convention buying or
Yeah.
Kickstarter funding. Like that's not being recorded in these
Yeah.
comic
Yeah.
book
Well, that's
sales.
really
Like
true, super true.
there's more. I don't
Exactly.
buy someone who I would buy 12 comics a week at my local shop or something, like I don't buy anything at my,
Yeah.
like that comes out on Wednesdays anymore. I don't do any of that. I'm buying, all my friends' books that are, getting kickstarted or, getting traded at conventions. And it's
Mhm.
like, I mean, if
Oh,
the
yeah.
IRS ever walked into a comic book convention and started auditing, like you have like a field day, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like it's just
yeah.
like the amount of cash that gets handed through there.
IRS,
but it's
don't
like,
don't listen to this.
It's-
This is not the episode for you. Tune out.
Not
tune
here,
out.
not here. Yeah.
like it's one of those things
yeah.
like I think there's perception of shop sales versus like actual
Yes.
true comic book sales because so much more of it now
Yeah.
is like under the table or not recorded or through different business aspects. And like I
Yeah.
think book sales are bigger than ever for us. Apollo to
Oh,
be
big
running
time.
a Kickstarter
Yeah.
every month, almost every other month, it feels like, and
Yeah.
all of our stuff is funded. Like that shows there's an interest. If we're just one out of hundreds,
Yep.
like it's crazy
Yep.
how many requests even at work that we get to get our 10% discount. And I'm helping
Mhm.
creators make these print runs of 250 books, 500 books, 1,000,
Yeah.
2,000 books, like, and then they come back 6 months later and do another order just like that.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot.
The
lot of
indie
comics, like-
thing. So since the last like year, when I'm helping out friends do booths, when I go to cons and I can see this. I literally see people sell out at tables and they're gone by Saturday because they have nothing left to sell.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
what I think was what's kind of ruining mainstream comics. First of all, there's way too many titles out there.
Yeah.
Not only are there too many titles out there, you have far too many ratios and exclusives that are out there that are kind of altering the money that you're bringing into a shop, because a lot of times exclusives are higher, let's say $20, $30 price point, but they're for an exclusive company that may or may not be a shop themselves. But you have so many ratios and covers for one book. You need to scale back on that and work on better quality writing, better quality art on the interior books, and really figure out story-wise for the main companies, because that's what's really killing the mainstream comics. Is there's just too much overload of stuff on there, and people are kind of getting burnt out on that stuff.
Yeah,
and it's happening.
I think that yeah, like you have the repetitive titles, you know, you have the 20 Spider-Mans or whatever, and it's like there are characters that I know that people would want to see a story of. They would want to see, you know, this or that, or like a resurgent of something that was interesting back, you know, in the 90s, 80s, or whatever to kind of happen, instead of just seeing like how many more, you know, Spider-Man and then spin-offs of whatever the big movie is at the time. You know what I mean? It's just like they do that, and then that affects the world. And like the hardcore comics fans, when they see the characters in the movie starting to affect how the Marvel comic universe is working, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like, I get really annoyed at that shit.
Yes. This is also interesting too. I've also found a really big love for European and like the A4 size comic books, especially the hardcover stuff. That's kind of what I've been buying mostly lately. Like I have the Marini Batman book over here, and I love putting these on my shelf. I just grab them and read them. If I throw some books in my box, I'm not going to be able to see it unless I haul hundreds of pounds of stuff out. So I've been pretty much really loving these kind of formats right here. But yeah, it's cool. A5. Ooh, yeah, I would love to see that. But yeah, that's great. What I want to do too is, I know we're a little over an hour here, but I want to go over your tiers though, because you have some really amazing tiers on your campaign here. Let me see. Let me go over here. So if you guys just want to make a pledge without getting reward, you can do that starting at $1. Go for it there. Now, this one is interesting. This is your featured reward. I think this is probably the most interesting one that's on here, because not only are you getting the panels book, your guidebook, what's your work, but you're also getting the blue line paper. You're getting Blick, also amazing. Shout out to them too. Colored pencils. You're getting the studio drawing pencils. You're getting pencil sharpener. You're getting a set of microns. You're getting all kinds of stuff here. This is amazing. This would be a package. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, as a kid, you get it for Christmas. You get this stuff. And this gets you exciting, and it makes you want to go and create things. And this to me is amazing. For $100, what is it? 25. A pack of small microns is like $25.
Yeah. So this is a really cool
expensive.
deal. And like you could go into the new year and just start making a new book. You start with the 8-page workbook, and then you have like your blue line paper right there to start your next one, and just keep pumping through it, you know? And hopefully we'll have a new download early next year for people to start attacking new guidebooks and workbooks too.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can make this larger just so you see what you're getting here. Because you got the guidebook, which is like 100 pages, and you said the workbook was like 20 to like 30 pages.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. But look at the material you're getting here. You're getting some amazing stuff. Not only that, you're getting the blue line paper to draw on. So this to me is a massively amazing deal for $100. Like, that's fantastic. I think that is probably the best thing that is in this. I mean, it's just a shame that not many people are picking that up, but they got to pick it up, because I will gladly share this to some local shops, because I think that is awesome. And I love that you have like librarians down below, educators. Like, this is for a lot of people that would work for it too. Like, even just like adults as well, because this is something that you're going to need anyways if you want to start creating art. So I think
I'm
this is
actually working with our library right now to start doing workshops, starting actually in June, probably in September, to be doing this. So it's going to be even more hands-on stuff. They were so hyped about it.
Yeah, and you're shipping anywhere world. So I'm just going to click this just to see what your shipping is. So $12 United States, $30 for the amount of stuff that you're getting in there, because you're getting like 130 pages of just material. Plus, you're getting the rest of the material for the art supplies. So that's actually a pretty good price point for going out of the
blue
state.
line paper is awkward to ship. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it. That 11 by 17 box to fit everything in. It's really awkward.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. No, you got some phenomenal stuff here. And if you just want the guidebook, you can get that for $25, which also, oh, this is a digital copy too.
Yep.
Digital copy would be interesting too. I like that you're doing digital because for the digital artists out there, not everybody's traditional. So that actually works out good.
And then just keep on printing out physical copies of the workbook from there if you wanted to as well, which is super cool.
Do they also get a copy of the digital blue line paper for any of these series?
No, but we do have templates you could download for free on the CWS website for any sort of all the template sizes we offer to print in. We have templates on there you could use for blue line paper in that sense to follow bleed in trim.
Here, I'm gonna drop the link to that right now so that you guys can go and check that out. That's Comics Wellspring website. You can go check out all your printing needs, whatever you need there as well. So yeah, for $25 just for the digital copy, that's pretty cool. I like seeing people pick this up as well. But if you want the physical copy of the guidebook as well for $45 for 100-page workbook, let's go. Oh yeah, that's for both.
Yeah, you get both.
Oh, nice.
Both.
Yeah,
always. Yeah, this one, everything, whenever you get the guidebook, you always get the workbook. You get order additional workbooks if you wanted as add-ons. Same thing with the guidebook as well. But it's something that you could kind of reuse over and over, except for the workbook, unless you like really apply into it. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. And plus, we're going to have extra downloads for people who back these too. Like there's a kind of like a credit system we're developing or figuring out, or like an update system where we're going to send you new workbooks throughout 2026 for backing the Kickstarter itself as well. So they'll get some extra goodies that just aren't listed yet because we're formulating them all at the moment. But those are extra surprises we'll be giving our backers too.
Very cool. And then it looks like you want to pick up the guidebook, the workbook, and then you get a mystery pack with Comics Wellspring trading cards for $55.
Yeah, we magic card. So we have a reset and a full set you could choose from. You could also choose them as add-ons. But we're developing our own fun little trading card, like Magic the Gathering game type of thing. So we're just kind of having fun with that, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot. Let's see. This is the one right here. If you want your name and your book listed. Oh, is this for your comic?
Yeah, you could list your name in your book and get a special thank you dedication spot, and so people could go check out your work and look you up. So we just love to like at least highlight some of our community in there for that extra couple bucks.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Very cool. $55 plus you're also getting I would guess both books as well.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Very cool. I dig that. And then special foil edition. Oh, look at you.
We love our foil capabilities. You know, we're one of the only places that you could get foil done. So we just love highlighting that. And we're kind of playing with a couple different new types as well. So we might surprise people with the foil.
Yeah, I love that. So that was $60 there. So that gives you both of them are foil on there?
Yeah, or just the guidebook.
Oh, just the guidebook.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. I really like this. And then you want just with the blue line paper as well too. I don't know where that went, but it's over here. You get a couple sheets of the blue line paper plus the workbook and the guidebook for $65. So how much does normally, if you want to just buy a set of the blue line paper, how much does that normally cost?
It's $25. So you're actually saving, like $5 by getting it through our website or through the Kickstarter right now.
Wow, that's cool. That's amazing. That's really cool. So $65 for that plus some blue lines. That's amazing. And look, you get some wham stands as well.
And this is something, I wish we would have marketed a bit better because it's one of those things like once you say you have a kid or anyone who finishes the book, you could put it on this wham stand and have it on display. So you could kind of keep it out. And it's something you could kind of cherish. Everyone wants to hang the drawing on the fridge, but this is the way you get to hang the original copy of the book
that's so cool.
for everyone to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of those. They're actually really nicely done.
So great.
As well. Yeah, they're really nice. For $70, that's actually a pretty cool deal. I like that a lot. No, that's awesome. You can have a little display, especially if you're a little bookcase or shelf or something around your house. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Let's see.
Our profit for margin for these are so tight. This is the standard pricing for Wham Stand 2, the $25. We make sure Moose gets paid in his full amount, and we'll actually be interviewing him later this month too. I'm really excited to talk more with him. Yeah, some cool stuff in development to team up more.
Oh, lovely. And then this one here is you get the full set of cards here as well. Nice.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And then it covers retailers for $200, wherever this went right here. I misplaced it. You get looks like a couple of each book. 5 copies of each one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's
And
very
that's
cool,
for
especially
great for
educators.
reselling or just wanting
Yes.
to people who back that out will actually be reaching out to see if we're capable of us doing a workshop of wherever they're based out of or sending a creator to do a
Oh, that's
workshop
fun.
there with that material too.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's amazing. Because like I myself like to back retailer tiers here because I usually do giveaways and stuff like that for like stuff down the
Mhm,
road. But yeah, there's a many different things that people be doing for retailer tiers. But for $200, you're getting 10 essentially because you're getting 5 each. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And then this one here, Ultimate Creator Bundle. Oh, you're getting the wham stand plus the trading cards.
yeah,
Yep,
and then
and
the
all
foil
the art
cover.
material.
Yep.
Oh, sweet. And then all the art materials like you were for the $100 tier, just with a little bit extra stuff. That's awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, you guys have some really cool things. I really love that you're getting the materials as well, which is really cool. Now this one for $500. I like that you have one backer for this already. Let's go. This is cool. So you're getting physical copies of 2 panels and 2 workbooks, plus 10% off all Comics Wellsprings orders for 2 years and 2 supply packs. So you're getting 2 of the art packs. That's amazing.
Yeah.
For five hundred
Yeah.
dollars, that's a pretty awesome deal right there. That's
Yeah, it's
really
one of those
cool.
things we wanted to think about, like the older creator who's backing this and like prints with
Hmm.
us all the time and wants to
Yeah,
bring this to their family or friends or anything. And it's like, well, you get to share that with a bunch of supplies.
yeah,
And you are, reaping the benefits by putting a 10% discount on all your orders, no matter what, for the next 2 years. That's just an insane way to give back to the
awesome.
community. I wanted to really
Yeah,
make it worth it to justify, spending that money and being like, "Well, we're gonna save a lot," because you could save a lot more than 500 in that time
yeah.
period with your orders. So
Oh,
really
definitely.
cool.
Plus, you're getting the material, the art materials alone. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think people realize like how much each individual one of those things costs. Is insane. It's really good deal just for the art, just the supplies alone. That's awesome. I'm just looking down here to see if you have any other add-ons. Okay, if you just want to get more
oh
of that,
yeah.
the WAM stands, you can do that. If you want
Hmm.
workbooks, you can individually add all of the stuff, which is awesome. On here. So yeah, yes,
Yeah,
of course. Or you just
everything.
want more packs of supplies too. You can order that for $50. Nice.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a super awesome deal there. I like all this. I really love this campaign. I think it's doing something that's amazing for creators, but not only that, like people that just love to doodle in the first place. So if you have a kid, I think this is absolutely just phenomenal. I'm gonna refresh this just to see if we got anything changes on here. But yeah, no, I'm gonna be spamming this all over the place. But I
Awesome.
Awesome.
think
Thank
that
you.
this is so cool. I think it is really neat. I think it's something that everybody can handle too, especially if you just want to just even if you don't even want to make your own comic, but you want to just work better at writing and creating something. I think it works for
Yeah.
you too. So that's amazing. I really very much love this. But I'm going to drop the link one more time. It is pinned on the top, but I will drop it one more time so people can go ahead and click that if you guys are listening elsewhere. But I have the links, all the Apollo City stuff down below. I have the links to Brandon down below. I have Comics Wellspring down below. I have Jade stuff down below. Go follow these guys all over the place. And well, let me make our little faces. There we go. There's our faces. Hi. It's been a hot minute. I know we're so tiny. I'm used to being
I know.
tiny. um, but yeah, no, thank you so much for coming around here. It was very lovely chatting with you. And you guys, welcome back here anytime. You know that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. No. Thank you. We got to talk about Apollo and also all the other stuff we do
Yes,
on the side besides CWS stuff. There's such a
I
long list of
know. Yeah.
everything behind me are all these new announcements that we'll be doing, and
Yes.
Apollo has a
Woo.
very busy summer ahead of us. So I'm super excited
Yeah.
for that as well. Once I get through this campaign, we'll be
Yeah.
announcing some cool stuff, and a lot of international creators we're bringing to the US on this really cool kind of like it's like a sugar and spice Kickstarter. It's going to be a
Oh,
dual
sweet.
book,
Okay.
but with two different creators, and they're just so totally opposite from manga to like crazy, like colorful punk rock
Oh, I love that.
insanity. So we'll be doing a lot of that. We're starting our year 3 with Apollo, so I'm super hyped to be
Oh, okay.
formulating that. And we kind of realized
Yeah.
this in our last call that we're entering this new era, and it's a new flavor
Yeah.
completely with our new line of publishing. So I'm excited. I'm hyped, and
Nice.
we'll talk about that soon in the next couple months for sure.
Perfect. I'm actually going to keep dropping a little bit of your links down below as we're doing that. So if you guys want to talk about any appearances or any shows or anything, cons coming up that you guys have,
Oh, yeah.
while I'm dropping
Jade.
these, please go for it.
Sure. Trying to think about what the next one is. I don't know about this summer. I mean, I'm sure there's probably going to be some random stuff going on kind of in the Montana area that I'll be a part of. The only other one that I really have planned this year is to do Rose City Comic Con in Portland, Oregon. I'll be there for that one, tabling just my own stuff. So I'll be selling copies of It's a Horror Show, which is my series that I work on, as well as Dead and Still Dying and a handful of other stuff. Probably will have I should have panels by then. So like you might be able to buy a physical copy of the workbook and stuff like that for me as well. But that's the big event. I think I'm trying to think if there's any other releases this year for me. Panels is probably going to be taking most of my time. So that's I think that's the big one.
We have one more that we can't talk about yet.
Oh,
that we will be announcing soon. Yeah, it's a pretty cool like I shouldn't be talking about it. Never mind, I can't talk.
Oh, okay.
Like, I can't. We have an NDA on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jade and I will be tuning up on a bunch of cool stuff. We did the horror anthology together in February, which that will be probably shipping out by late summer, July probably. I want to say. Hopefully,
I would say
August.
It's going to be going into print in July in June. Getting ready. So
coming up. Oh, it's insane to me. It's already like mid-May right now. I'm like, no, don't tell me that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my calendar's insane. That's the wild part. So we're wrapping up panels here this month, and that's all we're focusing on. Super hyped about it. And then right after that, Apollo, we should be doing this event for Positive Force DC in the DC region.
Nice.
They're a bunch of punk activists, and since we did this Comic Coast Fascist and some other stuff, they invited us on. So we'll have updates there. We'll also be launching that Sugar and Spice International. It's our Apollo City Comics Euro trip Kickstarter, and as we bring in Marie Morgan and Willie Dean, Skullhead Comics to the US and printing their books, and then we're also going to be doing a Kickstarter with RD Murphy as we rebrand him and bring him onto Apollo as well, and a couple other books as well launching after that. And then we'll also be at the DC National Cannabis Festival in July, where we'll be having some exclusive copies of our anthology one hitters and all sorts of cool stuff. We're gearing up for that and doing that right now. But yeah, check out Apollo City Comics at apollocitycomics.com, and we have tons of new merch, t-shirts, new books. We just put up new digital downloads you could get for free. Yeah, I think that's just keep up with CWS and everything we're doing there too. We'll be talking to Moose from Whamstand on Inspired Ink, and every Thursday night we do Spilled Ink from 6:30 to 8:30 EST. We have a ton of guests on this next week, including Jade, where we'll be making comics. You'll see me making more of these Star Wars comics, and I think that's it. That hurt. I can't turn my neck. That really hurt. I shouldn't have done that. I have like the 1989 Batman. Yeah, dude. I'm Mastodon, man. Like I just love Mastodon so much. Like it's so cool.
It's exciting. I got Pantera in July, so I'm like, exciting.
Yeah, I think it's hard to like remember like what's a con date or what's a concert. We're seeing a bunch of cool concerts this year too. Like we're doing Warped Tour in DC in June, and then we're seeing Blink-182 and Alkaline Trio in September.
Nice.
The Sounds of Animals Fighting in October, I want to say, and I might see. My girlfriend's going to be out of town for a week, so I might see Anthony Green and Joff Rickley on that solo tour in August. So I'm hoping for that too. But yeah, because tickets are like $35. Like I can't.
Oh, that's a decent price for concert
exactly.
stuff. Come on.
And Joff Rickley's the vocalist from Thursday, and Anthony Green's from Circus Survive and Sounds of Animals Fighting and all that. So I'm an Anthony Green fanboy, like I'm a Blink fanboy, talked along. So yeah. But yeah, we got to have another episode where we just talk about
for sure, dude. Because I have another series for artist feature, but that has nothing to do with campaigns. It's just highlighting creators and whatever books and stuff they're on or art. So book you for that if you want to do that. If you don't have anything coming up, so. Yeah,
we're always releasing stuff, so either show works.
I know.
I can barely keep up with what we're doing, and it's insane. I love my team. We're so thankful for them, and Jade and Eric Allred and Javi Martinez and Alex Batts and Max Flowers and Kai Brown, and they're just also phenomenal. So thank you guys all. Adam Matthew Smith, great people.
It's been a lot of fun. I know. I love, even if I don't chat in there, I always lurk on Spilled Ink. I'm always lurking.
Yes. We love it so much.
One of these days, I'll draw along. One of these days. we're not like frazzled and half dead.
Vibes. Every time I enter that show, dude, I'm just like chugging the coffee and I'm just like, I gotta do this. Like,
Yeah.
I need to show up.
Yeah. But thank both of you for coming on here. It was a very lovely chat. I had a lot of fun talking to you guys. And
Yes.
Yeah, same.
yes. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions about branding, just hit up Brandon, hit up the guys and figure out all kinds of stuff. But you guys got so much stuff going on, and I absolutely love seeing everything you guys have been doing. So keep on kicking ass. Let's go.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
we're
thanks so
gonna get
much.
out of here. Yeah, all your links below. Like I said, share this galore all over the place because I know there's something for everybody in this campaign, especially just with the art supplies. I mean, hell, that's it's good deal just on the art supplies. But we're gonna get out of here, and I don't have an outro, so you know what that means. Crappy dance time. That's right. That's right. Yes. Wow. Yeah.